Sometimes life gets crazy and it's just too easy to focus on all the negativity in the world. Welcome to the audio antidote to that. On this show, we highlight the amazing and positive work being done in the world to remind ourselves that there is hope out there for the future. And along the way, we'll pick up some new perspectives and ideas so we can all work together to make the world a little bit better. Because we know that when creativity and community come together, we can create good. This is Creating Good with Matt Barnes. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Creating Good with Matt Barnes. I am Matt Barnes, aren't I?
You are.
Yes, I am. And what's your name?
Well, and I'm 5.5.
You're Wells and you're 5.5. This is Weldon Walker Barnes, Wellsy, as we call him. And he's sitting in for Tiffany Pope today because Tiff is at school. She had a game that she couldn't get out of to come here and record. So I brought Wells in. I thought, let's get the younger perspective. Tiff provides a young perspective, but we want the even younger perspective. Right, Wellsy?
Right.
Yeah. The 5.5-year-old crowd is severely underrepresented in podcasts. Yes, son. What's up?
I have lost 5 teeth.
You have lost 5 teeth.
And I have 4 wiggly teeth.
You have 4 wiggly teeth right now?
Right now.
Oh, my goodness. Are they all going to fall out at the same time?
I think so.
Yeah. Now, the last 2 teeth you had, you pulled out, right?
Right.
Are you going to pull all 4 of the wiggly ones out?
When I'm ready.
Yeah, when you're ready. That makes sense. Okay. Well, Wellsy, this is a podcast called Creating Good, and it's all about people making good in the world, making the world better for people. And we like that, right? That's good. Yeah?
Yeah. Can everybody hear us from out here?
Well, everyone who's listening to the podcast can hear us. But, Wellsy, did you see anything this week that was creating good? Did you see anybody at school creating good? Doing anything nice and kind?
Yes.
What'd you see?
I don't know.
It's okay.
I give up.
You give up? Why do you give up?
It's because I just give up.
Okay. Well, we like to find people that are doing good out there in the world. And this week, we started the Creating Good meetups here in Newport Beach, California, and launched the Creating Good pledge at creatinggood.co, where people and organizations can go and take that pledge, and you get a digital badge you can put on your website to show that you have taken the pledge for creating good. And the pledge is super simple, and it's based on the rules at our house. Actually, we converted those into the values here. Wellsy, what are the rules for our house?
I don't know. I keep forgetting.
No, you don't. You just said that.
Don't be kind of fun of it.
What's the new one?
Stay curious.
Stay curious. So show love, be kind, stay curious, have fun. And at home we say no fits, but here we say be cool because we want people to have your feelings. Of course, they're your feelings and feelings are valid, but also don't take your feelings out on everybody else. And that'll allow everyone to have fun and enjoy making the world a better place and creating some good. And that's what our pledge is all about. So you can go to creatinggood.co/pledge and take the pledge. We're trying to get 50,000 people to take the pledge in the next year. And we are off to a good start. So creatinggood.co/pledge, take the pledge. You get a digital badge you can put on your website to show that you are committed to creating good in the world. Today, we've got somebody who's creating a lot of good in the world. Her name is Maggie Kane. And Maggie Kane, 8 years ago, started a thing called A Place at the Table in Raleigh, North Carolina. And it is the coolest thing in the world. It is a pay what you can nonprofit cafe. They fed over thousands of people amazing food and even better community. They use this cafe to build community and to provide for people and kind of provide opportunities for people also to pay it forward. It's really cool. This is one of the coolest things I've ever heard about. And talking to Maggie was really awesome. I do want to read one thing straight off her bio, though, because just to give you a flavor of who she is. She lives in Raleigh. She loves to jump rope and eats a large amount of peanut butter. She loves hiking in the mountains and hour-long tattoo appointments.
Fine.
So if you relate to that, you'll like Maggie. She's pretty cool. What are you doing, buddy?
I'm pretending to burp.
Ew, excuse you.
I'm just pretending.
Oh, you're just pretending. Okay.
Burp.
Burp. You're making people laugh right now. That's creating good in the world, right?
Yeah, it is.
All right. We will be right back with Maggie Kane after this brief message.
Bye.
Bye. Creating Good with Matt Barnes is brought to you by Rogue United. So here's the deal. You can either add to the world or you can take from it. Those are the choices. I don't make the rules. I started Rogue United and all the projects and companies under the Rogue United banner because I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm adding to the world. I'm contributing in some way, that I'm using what I have, my resources, my talents, experiences, whatever it is, to make the world just a little bit better, or maybe even a lot better. To put it simply, Rogue United is all about bringing creative problem solving through community in order to, wait for it, create good. Like the title of this podcast, Creating Good. In fact, that's really where Creating Good came from. So visit rogueunited.com today and see all the ways that you can go rogue. From Rogue Creatives to Rogue Collective, Rogue Aviation to Rogue Labs, and of course, Creating Good, the options are endless. Okay, not really endless. There's only so much we can do, but there's still a lot of options there. It's not like infinite, but there's a lot. Anyway, that's rogueunited.com for all the options in the Rogueverse. I just made that up. Rogue United, go rogue or go home. All right, enough for me. Let's get back to me and our guest. I'm here with Maggie Kane. And Maggie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Pumped to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, yeah. Now, you said you've listened to a few episodes, so you know we always start off with 3 random questions.
I love it. Bring it on.
We got a list of like 100. We have a randomizer that selects 3, and here we go. You ready?
Should I be nervous?
Maybe. Only because I'm going to harshly judge your answers.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, of course. First question is, what is your favorite film? It says trilogy, but I'm going to say series, film series, and why?
I'm a big Marvel fan. Is that a film series?
It is, but there's nothing else to compare that to. Not even Harry Potter or something, because there's so many films interconnected, but they did it so well.
They did it so well. So I'm going to say Marvel because it's like so different than my life and it's just entertaining and you can just get behind it. Wait, what's yours?
So many. Like, I don't know that I could pick one because I'm just a big nerd. I love sci-fi. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars. I love Marvel. I love all of it. So getting me to pick, it would probably change depending on my day and mood. But what I will say about Marvel is I am impressed lately, not as much, but especially in the first run up to like Endgame, their ability to take films in different kind of genres. I mean, you have almost comedies, you have heist movie with Ant-Man, you have all these different kind, and then bring it all together and make it all work was genius. I mean, the Winter Soldier was like a political thriller, which was so well done. And to make all that work together was amazing. And I feel like they've unfortunately lost a little bit of that magic, but I'm hoping they get it back.
I agree. So what was the latest one that just came out?
Oh gosh, what was the last one now? I'm trying to remember.
Whichever one it was, I can't remember, but whichever one it wasn't that great. I was like, this is not the same as it was 5 years ago.
No, but I am excited about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, me too. I am excited too. Yeah, that's good. And Star Wars, by the way, I should have said that. If my partner listens to this episode, he's going to be very upset with me because we celebrate Star Wars Day.
Oh, we do too. In fact, my second set of twins, their middle names are Sky and Walker.
That is brilliant. I love that. I will go tell him that. Are you watching all the shows, like Star Wars shows?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what it's called now. I don't watch that, but he definitely does.
Yeah, we're here in Orange County in California. So we're going to Star Wars night at Disneyland next week. And we're doing full costume with lightsabers and the whole deal.
Well, would have said we would have seen you there. Like, he definitely asked me to go. And I said no, but maybe next time.
My cousin, it's her birthday. And so she was like, we're doing this for my birthday. You cannot say no. We're going full costume. I was like, all right, you got me. I'm in.
I love that. That's so good. Okay, I'm going to have to see pictures of that.
Oh, yes, for sure. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? Speaking of Marvel.
I love that. I used to always just say flying because I think it would be super cool. But now that I've gone skydiving a bunch, I'm like, not as cool.
Been there, done that.
Oh, been there. This is a weird one, but I would make sure that whoever I encountered felt loved. So that would be my superpower, is to make sure people felt loved at all times. I'm a big believer that people are super lonely, which you'll hear a little bit in my story. And I believe I was born on this earth to make people feel loved. And I want to take away people's loneliness and just make sure they feel loved.
You're amazing.
I know that sounds weird.
No, it absolutely does not. So, gosh, I don't want to get off too much on a tangent, but in our house, my wife and I waited until later in life to have kids. We're older. We didn't start having kids till we were 39. And in that time, watching everybody have kids and thinking through like rules and how we're going to raise our kids and all that stuff, we really kind of like, let's boil it down to what are the essentials. And so we have 4 rules in our house, and it is show love, be kind, have fun, no fits. Because I'm just like, that kind of encapsulates everything. But it just all starts with just show love. Like, if you're just showing love, then you can be kind. There you go. Spread love or speak love. She got a tattoo.
And this is my 18-year-old tattoo. Then I got it before the Be Kind movement, which you can't say it now, the Be Kind. And now I'm like, oh, should have kind of regret that one. But I agree. Always be kind. It matters.
And everything just fits under that. So if the kids are doing something and I'm like, is that showing love? Is that being kind? And if you do those things, then we can all have fun together and nobody needs to be throwing fits. Like, all right, here we go.
I love that. I'm going to spread that to all my friends with kids.
Feel free. Last question. What is your coffee order?
Oh, that's an easy one. All day, every day. You should ask my staff. I am known in our coffee shop, because literally a coffee shop that I'll tell you about in a second. I am known to leave little black cups of coffee all around. And I'm like, oh, where did my coffee cup go? And someone just brings it to me and says, Maggie, you left your coffee cup there again. I'm a huge black coffee drinker, but like really good coffee. And we've got a bunch of great local roasters here in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we currently at A Place at the Table, we use black and white roasters. And so favorite cup, just a simple black and white black coffee.
Nice. There you go. I can tell you're caffeinated.
It's funny that you say that.
Or is that just who you are?
It's who I am. I do drink a lot of coffee, so you don't want to see me at 5 a.m. until I've had my coffee, but I have not had coffee in like 8 hours. So I'm like one of those that like cuts off at 11.
All right. Okay.
What's your coffee order?
I don't drink coffee. I drink 5-hour energy drinks. I love the smell of coffee. I just can't, the taste.
You don't like it. Like repulsing.
Yeah. I don't know.
What about hot chocolate?
I like it for whatever reason. I've never been into hot beverages. I don't know what that is. It's weird. Like even if it's freezing outside, I'm drinking like a ice. I don't know. I drink a lot of water.
Okay, well, water's good.
I didn't used to, but now I used to drink a lot of soda and now I drink a lot of water.
That's good. Good for you.
It's better for me than Mountain Dew. I used to have a terrible Mountain Dew addiction.
Like a 12-pack a day type situation.
In high school, yeah, it was bad.
Oh my God.
In the 90s, we thought nothing was going to kill us.
That's right. Did you drink the like, what was the red Mountain Dew? What was that? Code Red.
Code Red. Yeah, that came out maybe like later in high school, I think, for me.
Yeah, that was like late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, it was really good. It kind of had that melted Jell-O taste to it a little bit.
Yeah, or like cherry cough syrup taste.
Yeah. But carbonated, so goes down a little better.
Exactly. I love it. Oh, bummer. The questions are over, but that's okay. We can move on to why we're here.
Oh, I have many more questions, less random questions, but I do have many more questions. And I feel like just based on the vibe here, this could go in some random places anyways. So tell me, what is the Maggie Kane origin story? Where did you come from? How did you end up where you're at? And what are you doing?
So awesome. Thanks for asking. And again, thanks for having me on this podcast. I'm super excited to be here. I actually grew up in Raleigh. So currently still in Raleigh, North Carolina, grew up in Raleigh. My whole family lives here. I felt super lucky. My mom and I have a twin sister. So we talked earlier about twins. I have a twin sister.
Are you identical or fraternal?
We are fraternal, but we look like sisters. But fun story is she married a twin who's identical. So there's just like twins all over the place. And then they really wanted to have twins, my sister and her twin husband, but they didn't.
Saying my sister and her twin husband sounds
correct. I realized that did not come out correctly. So my twin sister married the twin.
Yes. No, I understand.
I know. I'm sorry for the listeners out there.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have 2 kids here. And then I have an older brother and his wonderful wife, and they have a 10-year-old. But grew up here with my mom and went to high school here. I did not like high school. I was made fun of. I just didn't love it. I didn't have a lot of friends. It was like just not a great time. Whenever I'm speaking somewhere, I ask the room if they liked high school. And there are far few people that liked high school. So we're very few people. So I know I'm not alone in that one. But in graduating high school, I was very fortunate to go to college. So I'm thinking I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to leave Raleigh. I'm going to leave North Carolina. But, turns out that if you are lucky to go to school, that in-state tuition is a lot more affordable than out-of-state tuition. So I started looking in-state, found Appalachian, which is in Boone, North Carolina. So about 4 hours from Raleigh. And was going to go there, and it was -2 degrees and pouring rain. And I thought, I am not going to be happy here. Seasonal depression is a thing. So ended up going to NC State, staying in Raleigh, and it was awesome. Really found my people, found a community, felt like I belonged. Started volunteering with a service fraternity there, and just started to get involved in a lot of different things. I heard a speaker come out and talk about a day shelter that he was opening. So a day shelter is a place. For anyone who doesn't know, a day shelter is a place where folks who are experiencing homelessness or extreme poverty can go and be in the day. So it's cold outside, it's raining, you can just go have shelter, get water, make a PB&J, do laundry, things like that. So no one sleeps there, but it's a place to be in the day. I heard this speaker and just knew I had to get involved. Started getting involved, honestly, skipped class a lot and just poured myself into just meeting folks at the shelter and just became friends with folks who were coming in every day. Graduated college, so very lucky to have graduated. It was not easy for me. I was never like great at school. My twin sister got those genes, but graduated college and about 10 folks from the day shelter came to my college graduation. They cheered me on. They somehow got into college graduation. We don't really know how, because graduations, you have very few tickets, but they got in and they cheered me on and celebrated me. And in that moment, I thought, I've got to stay here. I'd still thought I'd be potentially moving somewhere, going somewhere else. I went to school for international relations and Italian. Let that sit for a second. So very different. So I'm thinking I'm moving abroad, going to teach English, work for a nonprofit abroad or something. But again, saw all these folks from the day shelter come, folks who were experiencing homelessness, and said, I want to stay here. I want to see what else we can do here. And I want to continue to get to know folks. So ended up post-college, kind of forming my own job at this day shelter, ran the operations, and got to know folks even more. And for me, getting to know folks is over food. So eating with folks experiencing homelessness, I'd eat at the soup kitchen with them. So in Raleigh, we have an awesome soup kitchen. It feeds 300 people in an hour, 5 days a week. They're fighting food insecurity. They're feeding a ton of people. But I just found, just truthfully, that it was such a quick experience that I couldn't spend time with people. And so I started to go out for meals. We'd go to places like Golden Corral or other buffet restaurants, mostly Golden Corral. If anyone doesn't know what Golden Corral is, it is a huge buffet restaurant with a chocolate fountain and lots of dessert, any dessert you can think of, and any food item you can think of. And so I would go to Golden Corral with folks. And I remember asking my friend John, I said, John, we've come to Golden Corral twice now. And John had been on the streets for a couple of months and living outside, first time in his whole life. And I said, John, are we at Golden Corral because you're hungry and you slept outside last night? Like you're hungry, you need to eat a lot. And he said, no, Maggie looked at me point blank. No, that's ridiculous. No, sure, fine. But I'll find food. He said, I've chosen Golden Corral for 2 reasons. First, I have choice here. He said, Maggie, people make every choice for me, from where I eat to what I eat to where I sleep. He said, people make every choice for me. And second is people see me here. People treat me as invisible. So I'm seen here. So I have choice and I'm seen. That's why I've chosen this place. So that was the mic drop moment for me where I thought we have to create a place where people have choice and can choose what they want to eat. And then people feel seen.
I love that. I love that you listened. How many people, nonprofit, not nonprofit, whatever, to take the time to listen to somebody and listen to what the needs are before trying to solve the problems. And I think so many times, and I think we're all guilty of this in different areas, but we jump in before we ask the questions. We think we know. And even as individuals, I mean, I don't want to go off too on a tangent here, but years ago, I did a coaching training thing I was involved in, and they had us sit with somebody we didn't know and said, pick something in your life that you're trying to get an answer to. It could be something simple, whatever it is. And the other person is going to sort of coach. But for 20 minutes, you can only ask questions. You cannot make any statements. And the person I was paired with, who I did not know, gave me this problem, this situation in his life that I had had almost identically the year before. So I'm thinking, I already know the answer to this. And I just want to jump to it and be like, well, here's what I did and and it worked and it was great and everybody's happy. And forcing me to sit and ask questions and listen. And I realized actually the nuances of his situation were so different that the answer was the exact opposite of what I had done in my situation. What was right for me was not right for him. And I would have missed that. And I think even in these situations, we missed that. So you took the time to listen. So that led you to create a place at the table?
It did, yes. And then we just continued listening, honestly. I had no idea what I was doing. I couldn't even pretend to know what I was doing. A place at the table is a community movement. And so it literally was all these different folks coming to the table, literally, to make it happen. And so after that day, it was that mic drop moment for me, as I said, of there's got to be a place where people have choice, people feel seen, people have dignity, and the list goes on. It was also at a time, this was back in 2014, when in Raleigh, in downtown Raleigh, more people were getting pushed out of downtown. And that's still happening now 10 years later. But services were moving out. People are being told that they couldn't feed folks in public. They had to get a $1,000 permit or something ridiculous. And so I think there was really this moment where poverty was being pushed out and hidden. And there was no place that lots of folks could come together. There was no place where people could see each other and get to know each other. So I started researching and I found the pay what you can system. I found that there were about 10 at the time pay what you can restaurants across the country. Well, actually, there were more. Now there's 10. So I shouldn't say that. but lots of different versions of a pay what you can restaurant, and said, okay, if other places can do this, then Raleigh can too. Went to visit the closest one, which ironically was in Boone, North Carolina. So where I wanted to originally go to school at Appalachian, 4 hours close to Raleigh, went to visit and was just amazed and blown away. And the executive director and founder there said, Maggie, you could do this too. And that stuck with me. And that stuck with so many of us that kept going back just to see if we really could do it. And her name was Renee. She's amazing, wonderful friend of mine now. She believed in us and said, y'all could do this. And so we brought up about 5 or 6 different people at different times, just learned and came back and just started building what would work for Raleigh. So the cool thing about the Pay What You Can system is the 10 that exist now are all very different. They all fit where they fit. And so Boone looks different than Raleigh because it's a different town. And so in 2014, 2015, we applied to be a business through the Secretary of State. Then someone told us we had to apply for nonprofit status. And through that, someone said, you can find a lawyer, you got to find an accountant. You need to find folks that are in this work already who have done it. You need to find a restaurateur because they're about to open a restaurant. And so we just started inviting folks to come to meetings and chat about it. That was our vision team that turned into our board of directors. Some folks stayed on, some folks didn't. And the small team of amazing humans just started building it. We started hosting information sessions. We went to different nonprofits and told the story and learned what they were doing and partnered with nonprofits and folks in nonprofits, got people excited about it. And then we were like, okay, we got to live the mission. So then we started hosting pop-ups, this popping up our Pay What You Can mission. And so we'd go to different restaurants around town. We called it Second Saturday Brunch. And we did it every single year on Second Saturday. And we did a Pay What You Can brunch. So we had folks from the nonprofits that we were meeting, folks from the restaurants and bars that we were meeting. And then on our social media, all these people we invited to come eat and pay what they can. And the first one had 50 people. The last one had 450 people until eventually we found a space 4 years later. And we opened as Raleigh's first, right now and only, Pay What You Can restaurant. We are in downtown Raleigh. We look and feel like a normal restaurant. I know it sounds weird. And there's a big misconception where people are like, well, that's not for us. It's Pay What You Can. A lot of folks think that we're just a feeding ministry or a soup kitchen, right? But we look like a regular restaurant that you would walk into. You hear good music, you smell good food. Only until you get up to the register where you see some different signs. You see the suggested pricing. You see some people running around with volunteer name tags. And then you're like, okay, what's happening here? You order your food and you get a suggested price. So you can choose to pay the suggested price. You can pay more and pay it forward for someone else who can't afford their meal. You can pay less. So if you can't afford the full payment, you can pay less, and that's totally cool. We know some weeks are harder than others, and so some weeks you pay less, and that's okay. Or always you pay less, and that is okay. If you can't pay less, you volunteer with us. So you can volunteer for your meal alongside our staff, and I can talk about that in a second. And if you can't volunteer, we have 2 other options. You can get a place card. These place cards are like gift cards. We partner with about 20 or 30 other nonprofits in the area, and those places have these cards. So if you're a part of their services, you're staying at their shelter, you're in their job training program, whatever it is, you can get that card and come back and eat with us and get a meal of your choice. And then if it's none of those ways and you're a little bit different, you're a family, we feed families for free, no questions asked. We know it is expensive to eat out as a family. So if you're a family and you need a meal, no questions asked, you come and eat a meal with us anytime you want to. So that's how the model works. Our mission is community and good food for all, regardless of means. So we use good food as a tool towards creating community. And so we say we're fighting food insecurity, and we're feeding so many people every day, 150 to 200 people a day who need a meal. But we're also and really fighting community insecurity, providing a place for people to belong, for people to feel a part of something, for people to feel love, that hand up versus hand out. So really providing a place for so many of us who really need a community and a place to get a hug or to get a hello. It might be the only hello you get all day. And so we're just this like really eclectic, unique, warm, amazing cafe. And I just feel super lucky to work there every day and be a part of it. And we have the best team in the whole wide world. And I'm not biased. We just really have a fantastic team. And so it's pretty incredible.
If I am staring at you blankly, it is because I am in awe. Genuinely, I'm like overwhelmed with excitement and amazement and questions.
And you're like booking your trip to come visit.
I am. I'm not kidding. I might need to come out to Raleigh. I've never been to Raleigh.
You absolutely do. You come in. Bring the whole fam, the twins and all.
Yes. Wow. There's two things that jumped out at me here, and there's a lot of things that jumped out at me here, but two in particular. You were describing the journey. You kept using the word just. Like, we just did this and we just did that and then we just did this. And I know, because I know what starting anything is like, let alone a nonprofit, let alone something that is so different, outside the box, innovative, whatever, that there's not a lot of just in there. This was a lot of work. This was probably exhausting and exciting, but also just maddening and everything. So it sounds like you did research and you found other models and different things, but an exact model for what you're doing, it sounds like you invented what this looks like for you. What kept you going through that? Because so many people start nonprofits going, I see a problem, I'm going to address that problem, and haven't thought beyond that much. You jumped in and let yourself, your curiosity, your whatever it is, your drive to find out what's the best way to do this, lead you to places that you wouldn't have started. Like, you wouldn't have started doing at the place that you're at now because you had to learn all that stuff. Is that your personality? What is it that drives you to do that?
No, that's not my personality. It's so funny because I'm the first person to, like, I have no drive for entrepreneurship. When people say, Maggie, you're an entrepreneur, come speak to our entrepreneurship class. The first thing I say in that class is, I believe that entrepreneurship is community. And I think the only way we make cool things happen and do cool things is because the community comes together and it's needed in the community. So I am definitely not like the next Steve Jobs.
Well, maybe we're defining entrepreneurship wrong then, because I mean, you are. And I think even if you're starting a for-profit, looking at what is the need, if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be successful anyway. If people don't need what you're offering.
Right. What is the need and what does the community actually need it? Do they want it? And so thank you for saying all that. That is really, really kind of you. And I think the answer is the community kept me going. I said we had a board of directors, but we also formed a community advisory board. And this community advisory board visited different nonprofit each month. And we told folks about what we were doing. We learned about the good work that they were doing. And this advisory board was made up of folks that were living in or had experience living in poverty, were working with people in poverty. And we just like got together and chatted about what we wanted this place to look like. I think all of the relationships I had from working at the day shelter for so many years, I kept those. And I was in the park every weekend seeing my friends and seeing folks and saying, what are you thinking about this? And knowing their stories and how excited they were.
But that's not what people do. To even do that, what drove you to create that group? And you didn't just say, all right, I'm going to do some Googling. And then, okay, you put together this community panel or advisory board. You did all that. What drives you to do that?
So I believe, so I said, you asked me what I want my superpower to be, and it was to instantly make people feel loved. I believe I was put on this earth to love people, and that is my main job in life. And so it may not be my superpower yet, but I actively work on it every single day. I just want everyone, especially the unloved, what society deems as the unloved, to feel loved. I also feel that I have been put in such a place of privilege and power as a white woman, middle-class white woman. I feel like I have a right and I should stand up. Not a right, that's the wrong way to say it, but I should be standing up for the least of these. I should be putting myself out there and providing a place for so many who don't have a place. So I think it's both of those things of just knowing that I'm called to do this, and it's a stronger call than anything else in my life.
As a middle-aged straight white man, I cannot identify with that at all. Obviously,
Absolutely, yeah. You have zero idea, zero.
No, I mean, it's like, yeah, I am where I am. Like, how do I use that? I mean, this why this podcast, why I do these events, because I think any way that we can contribute to making the world a better place for other people who aren't in that situation, like, why wouldn't we?
Equitable place. That's right.
So very impressive in that. And I think if I was to say, I think your superpowers are like goal, vision, and self-awareness. The awareness of this is who I want to be. And every day I wake up and try to be more that way. And the critical thinking that goes into that, which it seems like drives you to do these things instead of just, oh, I guess I'll start this thing. Well, what is the best way to do this? And how can I do this? And how can I research this and make it better? That critical thinking that seems to be I don't know, a little bit missing in our culture today is a superpower.
Well, thanks for saying that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's so obvious. And to get to where you are, the other thing that jumped out at me was you used a lot of we language, even in discussing the type of place that you're creating, not for them, but we need this. We need community. We need the hug. And man, I love that. I don't know if that's an intentional choice of words or if that's just so much who you are that it's just coming out, but it says a lot about the type of organization because there's that passion there, but also we're all in this together.
It is our cafe. Thank you for saying all that. And I believe that we as leaders hire people that are smarter than us and better than us and more, just better at this job. Like I tell you, come into the cafe, don't ask me how to do anything because our amazing staff know everything in there and they know it better than me. So I just really feel like A Place at the Table is Raleigh's cafe. And so Raleigh is holding it. Raleigh has supported it. And everyone can be and has been a part of it. Whether you're dining, donating, volunteering, you can be a part of it to continue to make it happen. So this is not a me thing. Unfortunately, I do think a lot of things need to have a face to identify with. And so my face has been pushed forward in a lot of different ways, but we're trying really hard to push my face back because it is not about me. It's not the Maggie Kane show. It is a place at the table where truly everyone has a place at the table.
Totally. But I do think, and I was having a conversation about this literally earlier today, finding that, because I've always been so allergic to the personality driven thing to the point where I pushed back so far that it was like, I don't want my face on anything. But finding that balance is important because people do connect with people. And to have that face and to be able to be that outreach is important. And you have that personality that does connect with people. And one of the things I work with small nonprofits, especially on, as I'm trying to help them grow, is leaning into executive directors. People who start things up tend to jump in and just try and do it all themselves so that they don't have to pay people, that whatever. And I'm like, no, if you want to grow, you've got to free yourself up to do what you do best and create a team around you that can do the other things so you're freed up to do that. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do because it's letting go and it's your baby and it's all this stuff. But look what happens when you do.
It's true. If I speak at like a entrepreneurship class or a college class of some sort, one of the questions I always get asked is, what do you regret? And I don't regret anything. I don't think I do, other than I do wish we had hired people quicker. There were a lot of years where we burned staff out. We burned me out. We just kept grinding because we felt we had to do it all. And what we could have accomplished in those first 3 years. How many more people could we have loved? How many more people and places could we have affected? So I look back at that and that's so spot on what you just said is we're not supposed to be good at it all. We're not. We were not designed to be good at it all. That's actually physically impossible and mentally impossible.
I did a degree in organizational leadership and I did consulting for a long time. And I say confidently, the commonality every time I'm dealing with somebody who is a not great leader, let's say nicely, is it's like nobody ever told them you don't have to be good at everything. It's that insecurity of I've got to try and do it all. I've got to try and show people that I can.
Imposter syndrome and...
Yeah. And what you're really doing is you're putting on display the fact that you can't and that you don't trust other people. And it backfires every time. And it's that self-awareness, that ability to go, I'm good at these things. I'm going to lean into that. Let other people do these other things. Let's partner. Let's create a team that can do all this.
Absolutely. See, someone at the cafe goes, we have the best grits in town, literally. And they're like cheddar cheese grits and they're so good and creamy and so much butter and so much salt. And I have never made them in my life at A Place at the Table because we have a phenomenal chef and a phenomenal culinary team. And so some guy today at the cafe was like, Maggie, you should be cooking. Like, I want to try your grits. And I responded back exactly what you just said. No, like I don't cook. You don't want me cooking.
You don't want me cooking.
You want the grits from our awesome team. I can promise you.
If you really want something that can be microwaved, I'll do it. You want some dino nuggets? I'm good with the dino nuggets for my kids. That's all I got.
100%. Also, I grew up on the grits where you just add water.
Well, I say, yeah. Like, I know, but like, we don't really do grits out here, so I don't know.
Well, when you come to Raleigh, we're going to give you the biggest grit bowl possible.
Okay, so you have painted a picture that you are clearly an optimist and a positive person. You've painted a very positive picture. I'm guessing that you've encountered some resistance or some challenges along the way. Homelessness, especially, is a topic that has been unfortunately overly politicized. Food insecurity, same thing. What does that look like and how have you dealt with it?
So I will tell you, I'll be the first to admit that it used to really affect me. I did have that imposter syndrome and that thought of like, well, not even really, I always had imposter syndrome, but I guess it's not even really connected to this. It was more just like, I need to figure this all out. Like, why can't I not figure this out? Why do we have a problem every day? Why can't I figure this out? Why do I not have the answers? I've been doing this for now, we've been there 6.5 years, but this was like year 2 or year 3, year 4. It's like, why haven't I figured it out? And then I finally said, or someone probably told me, is you're never going to have it all figured out, Maggie. Get over it. No one has it all figured out. Get over yourself, get over your ego, and let it go. And so I had just started saying to our team, started saying to myself every morning is, you're walking into this day, knowing something's going to happen. Knowing something is going to happen, and it will be okay. You have smart, amazing people that are going to figure it out, and that y'all are in this together. And there's probably something's going to happen because that's life, and something happens every day in most places, and you're not supposed to have it all figured out. So I think just literally waking up daily and reminding myself that like, yeah, something's going to happen and you're going to be okay, and you're going to figure it out and figure out an answer for it. So I think that's one. I think 2, I will say and admit I thrive in chaos. So I might complain and be like, oh my God, today was such a hard day. Let's be real. My ego loved it. I loved it. I'm like, putting out fires. Like a bad day is when I'm sitting on my computer all day. And so I think that's a second too, but really just like keep continuing to remind myself and then have really awesome people in my life that also remind me that Maggie, this is life and y'all are doing hard, good work. And then I think the last thing I'll say about that is we often remind ourselves once a week, we as a leadership team sit and talk about all the good things that are happening. Those like, we remind ourselves of those missional moments. And then once a month, our whole staff closes and we sit and chat about those moments. And so that's great too. We have a comment box and Google reviews that we read. And if you need a little ego boost, make yourself a Google profile because you get all the good energy coming your way. So that too. But I think it's just remembering why we do this work and celebrating that.
But did you get a lot of or any like real resistance to the concept in that area? People worried about the nature of homelessness and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. And lots of folks not wanting to come eat at a place at the table, not wanting to work at a place at the table. There was a lot of that in the beginning of, no, that's scary. In the beginning, when we were trying to find a space to rent for the restaurant, landlords, I have 2 vivid memories of my realtor calling landlords and then being on speakerphone and then being on, no, we're not renting to them. That's a place for homeless people. So absolutely, 100%, we got a lot of that. But then you get people to come in there. And once you come in, you see it. And you see that it works and we're all human and we can all be in the same space and we all have so many more common things and just life experiences in common than we ever think.
And that's the thing. I mean, as a concept, it's easy to get against something or for something or whatever. But when it's people, it's a whole different thing. It's just a whole different thing. I mean, my agency, we do a lot of video work for nonprofits. Well, we do a lot of work for nonprofits, but going out and we've done a lot of work with organizations that deal with homelessness and people experiencing homelessness and going out and being on these interviews. And like, even for me, who was fairly open-minded, like you start to realize like, there's just people, this could be me. This could be anyone.
100%. I had a great mentor one time tell me, mentor and friend say, we are all a step away from homelessness and we're 1 bill away from homelessness. And many of us are, but a lot of us have, and this is also what he told me, is a lot of us have relationships in our life that will pull us out of it. So I have a list of 10 people I can call and go sleep on their couch if my HVAC goes out. So it's so true.
Yeah, but some people don't have those. And it's just the situation. They don't have that support system and they need that support system. And we can be that in a lot of ways. Man, I feel like I could talk to you all day.
I could talk to you all day. That's why you need to come visit us.
I know. I really want to. I really actually do. I mean, I talk to a lot of really great people on here. This podcast is a constant source of encouragement for me that people are doing good stuff in the world.
It really is. It's great. You've got some great people.
Yeah. And a couple coming up that interviewed recently that I have been very excited about too. But I mean, everybody. And I've learned so much and just so encouraged. I say this all the time, both on the podcast and in real life, but we're constantly being barraged with push notifications of terrible news that's happening in the world and why everything sucks. And to have an opportunity once or twice a week to sit down with somebody and just hear about the good they're doing and that I've never heard of. The last thing I want to ask you about is you were involved with Charitable.
Yes.
Yeah. And we just did a screening of that at Nonprofit Connect at one of our live events back in March. And it was, oh my gosh, Like, so good. I knew what it was about and everything, but seeing it and hearing the stats and hearing Dan's story and all that.
Wait, did you actually have Dan?
No, we didn't. I wish.
Oh, I'm like, how'd you get the hookup for that one? We wrote him.
If you have a hookup for that one, I'll take it. I'd love to get him on the podcast.
No. We'll do some like tweeting or something. We'll try to get him there. So we have an amazing group here that got started a couple years ago called Community Leaders Drinking Coffee at the Table. Seinfeld reference, anyone know? So we started this as a way just to connect with other executive directors. So there was 10 of us. Pandemic then happens. We go virtual. It grew from 10 to now 650 people in our community. So a couple cities around of folks that are community leaders here, folks that care, folks that are executive directors, fund development folks, people on boards, funders, people who just care. We meet every third Friday of the month on Zoom. I'd love to have you join sometime. We meet and we talk for an hour. We break out into small groups around different topics and people just connect. And it was a great thing during the pandemic for people to connect, but it has continued that way. And then we do quarterly in-persons. So probably 100 people come to the Zooms and the in-persons. And people are always just getting to meet other cool people and connecting and finding ways to help each other. And we always say it's what are you going to give and not get out of it. And so this group of a couple folks kind of formed together and said, there's this idea on Charitable, because we were hearing that a pain point was that just what Charitable says is nonprofit leaders aren't being funded well and the overhead myth and all of that. And so we just started talking about that more and more and it kept coming up. We heard about on Charitable. And so then we have this like cool retro theater here in Raleigh. So we filled every single seat with a nonprofit leader in that theater, 432 seats. And so we had folks come and we watched the film and then we just had discussion. And now we have 2 more viewings coming up for board members and funders. So foundations and all these things. And so we're going to keep this going. We're going to have takeaways. We're going to have discussion groups after for board members and funders and keep chatting about this and really trying to change what the funding model here, at least in our community, in hopes that other cities are doing it too.
That's so great. I mean, really, that's why I started Nonprofit Connect. We work with a lot of nonprofits and just hearing from them so many times how isolated they feel, hearing the problems they're dealing with. They feel like they're the only ones. I'm like, no, every client I have is dealing with these. Getting them to be able to come together in a room and we bring speakers and stuff, but it really is the more we leave a lot of informal time for people to just connect and watching as they've helped each other solve each other's problems and feel less alone. It's just been amazing. So that's amazing. It's so great to hear that you're doing that.
Well, I love that y'all are doing it too. And I mean, you've been working on it for a long time, but it's really critical. We have got to change the way it all happens. We've got to change the funding model. We've got to change it. And we've got to fund our leaders well for them to solve all of these problems.
Man, so good. I'll email you. I want to touch base offline just to even brainstorm ideas on that because we're still growing air.
I would love it. I'm sure you have it too. So I'd love to see the stuff you have, but we'll share our takeaway and we've got some different studies and things to put on that. But anyone on who's listening on this podcast, go watch at least the 10-minute TED Talk by Dan Pallotta.
Yes, it's amazing. And it was great because a lot of the people that came had never heard of him, had never heard of it. And they were like, oh, I don't know what we're watching. And I mean, they've been coming back and or calling me and like, man, this has changed my whole perception on what I'm doing. I'm like, yes. So it's really informing a lot of our topics going forward and a lot of that. It's been really great.
Love it. So glad you're doing that. So let's connect offline about it.
For sure. All right. Some closing questions for you. Who in the world of nonprofits would you want to take to lunch?
I really believe in our nonprofits that we have here in the Triangle in Raleigh. So I would say every single nonprofit leader here in the Triangle. So I get a lot of lunches with all of them. But if I had to pick one, I would say her name is Leah, and she started a recovery high school called Wake Monarch. And so it is for kids that are struggling with addiction and are now in recovery that are in high school. And so they are pulled out of a regular high school system and just loved on and cared for and taken through high school and celebrated. And it has just made such an impact here. And I think she is just incredible. So I am going to follow up with her after this for lunch now that you've inspired me to do that.
That's awesome. And finally, what is the thing about your job that gives you the most joy?
I was going to say the people story, the people. Literally, I get to meet the best people every single day. It's funny when we're talking about our board of directors was talking about our strategic plan and what we add to it. And a board member said, how about 100 hugs a day? And it's so true. I get hugged more times than I can count every single day.
I love that. That's so great. Well, Maggie Kane, you are my kind of people. I am so glad to have met you and get to talk to you. This has been so great. Where can people find out more about what you're doing and connect with you?
Yeah, heck yeah. TableRaleigh.org on Instagram, Table Raleigh, Facebook, A Place at the Table Raleigh, same with LinkedIn. So, but come in downtown Raleigh, come see us Tuesday through Sunday, 8 to 2.
All right. I'm on my way. I'm coming.
Come on. Can't wait.
Thanks so much, Maggie.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Creating Good with Matt Barnes is recorded at Rogue Collective in beautiful Newport Beach, California. It's hosted and executive produced by me, Matt Barnes, with an assist by my chaos coordinator, Tiffany Pope. Production is by our amazing friends over at Fame, the B2B podcast agency, along with Belinda Carter-Thompson and the team here at Rogue Creatives. Production lead is Mike Love at Fame. Writing is by Will Ainsley at Fame and Matt Barnes and Taylor Bolanos of Rogue Creatives. Miguel Mendoza of Fame is our audio editor, and Arslan Yakub from Fame is our video editor. Creative direction and design is overseen by Corey Hill of Rogue Creatives. Our artwork is designed by the Rogue Creatives team and Rufino Mejia of Fame. Theme music is composed and performed by Jared Atherton of Chapters. Mark Esponta and Mike Love of Fame do our booking and guest relations. Huge thanks to our amazing guests for joining us for this episode, and thank you to all of you incredible listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, and if you're still listening at this point, I'm assuming you did, don't forget to help us spread some good by giving us a good or great review. Preferably the, 5 stars kind with really nice words, telling us how much you loved it, telling everybody else how much you loved it. Also, tell your friends and subscribe so we can come straight into your potholes each and every time we have a new episode. For more information about Creating Good or to join us at a live event in Orange County, California, visit our website at creatinggood.co. We'll catch you next time. This has been a Rogue Creatives production.